Hey guys, welcome to June 26th Principal Profit Trader Coaching Call. I'm going to get right on it. Share my screen here. There we go. So let's start with Bitcoin. Okay, so I know, oh my God, it's been bullish, blah, 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 right? These high prices, and that's what everyone sees. Bitcoin's strong, but that's not really what we should be thinking about as traders. We have to just assess our risk because that's the only thing we can control. Right? Now, if I just flip the odds, I mean, would you be saying right now you can't wait to go short? Or would you be thinking, like, wow, I think this might be a place where we're going to get a reversal and I can't wait to go long? So I know I mean, I've been doing this for years and it's hard psychologically for me to start shorting up here. I'm just telling you, like, anytime, because I'm also a hodler and I have to deal with all these different psychologies. You notice I went long today instead of short, but the idea is that, let me go to the lower time frame. Right? I need some kind of edge, right? I'm also asleep a lot of the times when these double tops are happening. But once we got to my zone, I didn't take it right here. I wanted to see the action. I wanted to see the buying tail. This is an added edge when the larger time frame bias is at best neutral, right? The neutral means I'm uncertain as to who's going to be in control from a larger time frame perspective. The larger time frame bias is a very important weight in your longs or short. When the larger time frame bias reverses on your side, notice that when it reversed here in April, we were only going long. Oh, stopped out half quad exit runners, and then bam. And you can see how it really can set the tone and really keep you on the right side of the market. I'm not saying that there wasn't these shorter term sideways short opportunities. If you were, and I'm a day trader, and I still would say, let's go with the larger time frame bias. It's hard enough emotionally just to get in the market every time. Okay, so when we come up here, right, we're not saying, oh, larger time frame up. We're saying, I'm not saying larger time frame buys down. I'm saying neutral. I'm saying we're uncertain as to who's in control. Now, when I talk about a multiple time frame analysis, right, I talk about three time frames, but I'm not going to have three different weights in a snapshot of a system, right? The three different time frames that I look at will then amalgamate to a larger time frame bias category. And I'm teaching this to Wall Street guys that don't know how to use this with the S&P 500 futures for the AD line. I mean, I'm doing some pretty unique stuff there. I know, like, it's not an indicator I created, but I mean, I thought these guys would know how to do this. Uh, they're really good traders, but there's always something you can learn from anybody, really. So, heck, I might switch it up, man. He might be doing hedge. I mean, I was thinking I would be happier pulling out everything out of crypto and just doing 100% my day trading strategy on the S&P 500 and in Bitcoin, 100% institutional level with rules in place and everything, because why not? It's the same thing, right? Just to get back on track. I don't want to fly too off the handle here, but let's go back here, right? So once we got this action reaction, then the odds. Okay, now I have something because the larger time frame bias is neutral. I needed to see that lower time frame edge. That's what I wanted to tell you. And this is a form of exhaustion. Now, if I go down to the 5 minute, what you can see is when this happened, usually there'd be a huge, right, and there was. It's pretty big, right? Volatility spike above average, right? That's what you want to see. You just want to see a buying tail. And I don't know what it's going to do. I mean, I didn't even have the guts to wait till it went up here, which is what my system said to do. I took off at this VWAP thing, which we know VWAPs aren't really a target for us in a sideways environment. But I mean, this market is insane right now. I mean, this thing could slap the shorters could come in and blast this. I mean, I hate to say it. I might be going short. I hate to say it, guys. Like, I don't want to be like, oh my God. If I post short signal, I hope I'm not going to offend too many people. That's why maybe I don't do it as much. I also personally just don't short as much psychologically. It's hard for me. But the guys that just showed up, we're talking about a very important category in the daily call called the larger time frame bias, which I was actually teaching some Wall Street guys when I went to that reunion. The way that we do it is, like, if we're going to do a multiple time frame analysis, we can't have three different categories for short, intermediate, and big picture, because the short and intermediate and the big picture are different time frames that don't necessarily, like, you have to pick the time frame that's going to be relevant to you as a day trader if you're going to do day trading. Okay, so as we come up here, the larger time frame bias is neutral, equals it's uncertain. We don't know who's in control right now, right? We're at this huge resistance zone where if we flipped it up, everyone would be thinking, oh, doji reversal, let's go long. It's very easy to think about this as a giant major. This is a multi-month, support resistance zone. So we flipped it around. Now, what do we have potentially that is bullish, right? So like I'm not just even though we're thinking that on first test, we have to say, okay, well, is there anything different about the way prices approached this time that we can so the larger time frame bias is neutral, so that means it's not going to help us one way or the other. But there's also this other category called bigger picture pattern, which is another way. Now let me draw that really quickly. And you guys already saw it. It's just and then this is a head, this is two shoulders, and he's upside down, right? Another way to look at it is that the way price got here has been bullish because yes, one leg count, two leg count, three leg count, four. That's super high odds that we're going to get at four sideways, right? Now, but 5 to 6 is technically the reversal of time, right? So what I actually like about this is that it is building this shoulder, aka if you are going to get it, like what would be more suspect, guys, even though it would have been nicer, is that if this bar here was actually a breakout bar. Because even though we want a bigger picture bounce breakout, we really don't know if a bigger picture bounce breakout is going to be a false breakout bigger picture pattern or a true bigger picture breakout pattern. Those are two really important patterns until they happen. Once you see the close, like once you saw this at that point in time, then you say, okay, anything up here, I'm shorting again because you saw that confirmation and you had this double top. Also, at this point in time, it went from a very steep up sideways market, so it had super high odds now that it was going to go sideways. Here, right, we've been going sideways for a while, which means this has on this time frame, which is the intermediate time frame, this potentially has enough potential energy. This is what you need for a bounce breakout pattern. What I'm saying is that if it went straight line up, that had higher odds to climax and reverse because it didn't have that rest. Now that we have this, we have a pattern. This pattern is either going to break this way or it's either going to break that way. No witch, no PDF, no other, buddy's views can tell you what it's going to do until it happens, but that's really what's in play, right? We're either going to break out or break down. But there's also a third thing that we have to factor is like, when is that going to happen? Time cycle wise, this thing could get much more mature with barely much, you know what I mean? If we just clone something like this, let's just clone this. Let's just see if we just take this structure and if it matches with Corby's time cycle for Bitcoin. This should be October. September. Based on what I'm seeing, I would be very shocked right now, specifically what's going on in the world, that if we get some kind of crazy bullish summer. I mean, typically, I'm not saying that I haven't experienced that before, but I would just remember when I was working for that ministry and I was trading their money. They were like, oh my God, we're going to have the biggest breakout ever in 2019. It never happened. There was some kind, and it was all based on what these political pundits were saying, and the same kind of things are happening. But now we have this war thing, potential for World War III, which has already kind of happened. And you have to ask yourself, who is going to go into altcoins, really? I mean, last bull run, it was this normal average Joe, aka the Deegan crowd, younger people that were, first like high school kids on Robinhood. The pizza guy had 70K in Doge. Everyone was talking. This is real. Gym people were talking about it. It was wild. I started a free channel where I wasn't posting like education or signals. Like basically, it was just like a lounge, right? And it grew so fast during that bull run that I actually still keep it open and use it as a sentiment gauge. It's starting to trickle in, but the growth rate of the channel went from like just me, like, oh, let me see if I could just post some trading ideas and mirror. Kobe's like, why don't you open up a Telegram channel? That'll help, like, be a journal for you, right? It grew so fast during that time, I can't believe it. It got to like 500 people without any advertising. Meanwhile, even with people trying to help me this time, it's like people are turned off by it. So the question is this, if the retail Deegan crowd was the one that really liked these altcoins because they don't have a lot of money, but a lot of money was spread out because of the COVID checks that went out, and people were at home a lot, so they were running to gamble. Plus, things were way cheaper in 2020. I know it sounds like, oh my God, 2000 is only like, 5 years ago or whatever, but man, it seems like it was a different time. So I'm just trying to, devil's advocate. This alt season is not looking like the ones that we've had in the past, right? So just be wary of that. So like usually what happens when Bitcoin was near these all-time highs and we have these trickle offs, we have a huge reversal, right? Then the alts would start dominating, right? We don't even have that. And for the first time ever, one of my theses for the swing trade in SUI was that it pretty much mirrors Bitcoin and it was lagging, right? On this pullback, we had this huge bullish engulfing candle. And you know, the lower odds event happened where it's like this Shamu pattern, which happened in Ethereum here. You can see the Shamu. It's basically like boom, boom. But it wasn't just the Shamu, it was the fact that we did have this false breakout, bigger picture pattern. You see how it's just contextual? This is what the Woody CCI guys wouldn't know. And I kind of slipped up a little bit too, because this was a bigger picture balanced false breakout pattern. So even if this Shamu happened, I was still, this just was the icing on the cake. Well, SWE didn't really have that, right? Let's just take a look at how we can look at this stuff contextually, because these Woody CCI guys claim they can just trade this. So, I mean, we had this crazy bullish engulfing pattern, but if we go back in time, a lot of times this stuff gets reversed and it does need this sideways channel to recover. And we didn't get back up into this balance. Now, if it did come up here, right? I mean, we took out a lot of data, but let's just say it kind of did what Ethereum did and went back up into this balance. If you guys can see it, I'll just show you what I'm, the bottom of this balance. Like if it broke up into here, that could spark a major rally. I mean, my thesis was not to get too greedy with it. I'm going to take profits up with this dog leash up here, but this is reverse pretty hard. I mean, the whole alts have kind of taken a big tumble. And one of my coins from last bull run that I have like a pretty big chunk of change in just got delisted from Binance and just took a major fucking hit. So it's like this. I had to go to the gym twice today, man. I'm telling you, this was LTO. I mean, unbelievable. But I mean, the community's still behind it. They still have whatever behind it. But it's like, you know what? After talking to my guys in that secret society fraternity that went on Wall Street, they're not as good as us at PPT. I hate to say it. I mean, they trade on huge amounts and they're really fucking smart. But so am I. You know what I'm saying? And I did this on my own. And I mean, we had conversations that were long. I'm thinking I might just go institutional, liquidate every single crypto and just go on a huge fund. I mean, one of the reasons I don't want to go higher on day trading is that I'm afraid of getting hacked. Everything, you know, not your keys, not your crypto, man. I mean, the exchange one of my biggest exchanges that I trade on got hacked on a coin that I trade quite frequently, which was I traded yesterday, Ethereum. And it doesn't matter how long you hold it. If you had it just for a second when the hack happened, you would have lost everything. And it's like, dude, that's how I make a living. So it freaked me out. But I guess if you have an LLC that's institutionalized behind it, you know, you can have insurance and stuff, which would be great. Of course, if it would be better to just work for somebody else, you could trade somebody else's money. But then they do options and things, other things too. I just want to say, like, if we just go to the ES, right? I shorted that yesterday. I didn't look at it today because it was sometimes I can't trade every single market every day. But I like this one because you see how yesterday made me really confident to short because it gives us this extra information. This was a great short, you know, and I called the second leg down just because this is at a bearish extreme. It's one of the rules that I post on the channel. Like I said, I gave everyone my system. Of course, there's a lot of different rules within there that I publish, but it's like, it's hard. They're hard. These are hard to follow in real time on real money. I never thought the transition would still get me from an emotional perspective, but let's just see how well this could just add to it. Now look what the reversal was today. You probably didn't want to short today because we had the opposite, right? And this is kind of crazy that, okay, good. Hey, there we go. My Bitcoin trade. I got to just focus on, remember, like, even though if you may have had like this swing traded squeeze pushing behind me where I may be exiting soon, the day trades up. You know what I mean? So you got to focus on the right highlight reel from a psychological perspective. And, you know, I wasn't expecting this portfolio dump, but let's just see if there's some nibbling going on here. But you see how awesome it would be if we could just trade, if Bitcoin had this for our day trades too. It just adds another, if you know how to use this correctly, and these guys aren't doing it, this was really useful. So let's X this out. It's because I use it contextually. People just use things straightforward. Maybe having to take profits soon, but let's take a look. This is kind of cool. I can show you why I'm taking profits live. Get out of here. So this was a signal that I gave today. I used to say we because I had a partner trading with me for a while. right? That was a signal that we gave today. And technically I would have faded that on the greatest weakness where my zone was if the larger time frame bias was bullish instead of neutral. It wouldn't have been incorrect, but it's just an extra layer of edge that I needed to see that snap back. And just, Bitcoin is just an unstoppable force right now. Let's go to the Bitcoin dominance on a daily, rather. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, right. So alt season, this scenario one would have been nice because it would have happened sooner, but we actually broke that and now we used it. Remember, I talked about how this was broken resistance and acting as support. Now it's launching us up into alt season scenario two. This one also corresponded with the mathematical golden mean fib ratio. And this 70.73.8 is some type of a magical number too. I don't have a reference for it, but it does also correspond with this important swing high here, which launched us into a bearish dominance for a while. Anything can happen, but these are just areas that we're looking at. If, let's just say in October, things start getting really bullish, God, that would take us, I know it doesn't see, that would be around here. It doesn't, I know from our perspective, it seems like a long time, but just visually on this chart, look how slow this moves. This would be October, something like here. I don't even think it would get there. So that's when I think the bull's going to start. And then into the next year, bounce, something like this. And then, at least around here, this is when I'm going to be exiting a lot of these alts, assuming you get that, right? But pretty much, well, just going through the alt market, um, this is the pattern that I want to see in the alts, that I want to see in SUI and these other coins. The bullish engulfing, right? And then the pullback continuation, because every other time that this happened, at least we got a reversion to the mean. And this is multiple leg counts down and we're in better support. So there's a higher odds now. This would be nicer if this was up more for that Shamu that we got in Ethereum. But remember, Ethereum also has that bigger picture pattern that DOT does not. DOT would have to get back up above here, right, and test this area. So that's why I have that holistic approach, because if it was just woody CCIs or just really major zones or just whatever, high volume note, whatever it is, it has to be something contextual. I think when you look at Ethereum with the false breakdown pattern or false breakout or actual breakout or breakdown patterns, they have pretty good odds, right, on these pullbacks. And then you have that Shamu and a little twisty on the zero line showing that anti-counter trend. Now we're going to be counter trending up. That's the idea. But Bitcoin just so crazy strong. And with what I said, the reason why I was classifying this the other day as a creep up market, I mean, notice that, I have both the trend and the horizontal, and, possibly, it's not like I'm super excited to short at this level either, because we're not even at a hook from extremes yet. This is that creep up market that I say could just shake out traders. Where it creep, let's say you can't get something out of it, but you'll get shaken out, and then it'll have that flash up. For me to start wanting to go short again, I want to see a selling tail, right? Action, reaction, selling tail, and then I would start taking double tops into that morning, and then we can see if we can make some money in rotation down here. And then, that would be late summer. Then takes us back up here to October, and that would correspond with a previous cycle's time cycle. And then that would also correspond with Corbin's chart. If we do that, I will feel guilty shorting in front of everyone, because I know most people are long traders or they're bag holders. But I'm also a bag holder, so don't worry about it. And I also will be going long here. And it's just, I'm not going to just give long signals and get everyone smashed just because we want to be long all the time. Back in the day, Corby said he wouldn't post short, but I'm like, why? Like, why can't we? I mean, part of it is like sometimes you just need to break, but I think also part of it is like sometimes like the short guys, in a long channel will feel like they're being disrespectful. But I know other people short too, so it's just exits or entries. If I'm shorting, then maybe you exit, kind of a thing. So yeah, I didn't really like this smash up here candlestick. There's a high volume note here. I don't give as much credence to these moving averages because we've been going sideways. But I mean, we are in this channel here, and they have been working really well. So on first test, not surprised. I don't know. We're gonna have to see some kind of irrational strength. I have no idea from a gut perspective. When I say we have to at least allow that in the daily call because that's just a natural thing to say. How do you feel about it? Well, when I say how do I feel about it, I'm just giving a gut feeling based on years of repetition and looking at it, rather than just I could go through it list by list and categorize it out. I do that, but I also can just give a quick snapshot. What I would need to see for this pullback continuation pattern happen to see, we got to close with at least something like we have to have a little bit of a buying tail because this as it stands, this is not a sham move or kind of failed. It's basically a really strong inverse zero line reject, which is what we did not want. But you can see how Ethereum did get the Shamu, and consequently, we did have a green day. We're up 1.34%, even though we got that little selling tail at resistance. And it was the strongest coin for a while, relative strength-wise. But if you think you're having a bad day, just know you didn't buy LTO on Elon's trades last bull run. Let me tell you on that one. Yeah, also taking a hit. That's the capital flow is not there. I think for people that just thought the cycle, remember that history repeats, but it doesn't always rhyme. But let's just be objective about it right now, because obviously we feel whatever energy you're feeling, especially if you invested in this coin for a while. Let's look at a few charts and we'll look at the stochastics to get maybe a clearer picture here. Oh, I drew this because I had to ask myself, there is a possibility that we just went up there and didn't quite get to the mean, and now we're going to be in another trend channel, and this might take us down to here. But there's also kind of been this little pullback fib where we had a couple of days, and then we had some big days. Now, you might say, well, Matt, don't you need like a serious time channel to get a sideways range and then get a bounce breakout? Because, you have to have phases of the market. I would say I agree with you. And though maybe I was premature on this reload, and I'll let you know if I exit soon. But the idea is that, right, the context is slightly different because remember when this was happening, we didn't have that previous behavior here, right? I mean, we did have this strength, but we had just broken this balance, and that's got to be you got to factor in the immediate time. The immediate bigger picture pattern is a balance breakdown. So even though you're at this confluence zone, maybe here you're looking at this as a high volume node. Oh, okay, well, I was just maybe this one I was looking at. You see how it still is going to take a little bit of time to develop here. Down, not necessarily up, but sideways, right? Now here at least, right? This is a launching point of directional conviction out of that. And it's unusually large, sort of institutional buying. And then we had something similar engulfing. There's a possibility we can at least create sort of a V pattern here. But if it fails, it fails. And right now it's, not the best. But one thing I did is I cloned this and I put it here. And I said, okay, these are prone to, 61.8s. A little bit deeper than I'd like personally, but hey, this isn't Bitcoin. This is 61.8. So we're getting even some. Yeah, see, it's a little bit of a beauty principle there, just before 61.8, and a very similar buying tail. So I am looking at that pattern. Let's see what the Shamu looked like at that point. If there was one, probably wasn't. No, just a zero line reject. Yeah. This is a Shamu right here. So actually there was one. So let's say you missed this and you wanted to confirm entry. You see the V sideways, the dip. Before this takes you right here. Boom, boom. I posted that in the channel. Bam. It's a tricky one. So sometimes Kobe said, I don't really use that one. I was always looking at that one and people say, FIBO was asking if it's trend or counter trend. It is counter trend because the dominant trend at this point in time was a downtrend. It's just The reason is I think that, well, if you were always trying to be the first one in early and you're looking for Shamus, you're just going to have a really bad year. So I think he never really focused on it too much. But if I see one, I'll point it out. Nevertheless, so yeah, that was. Let's just go to this chart. I had a bunch of larger time frame charts, stochastics and such that I don't know how this was rearranged, but I might have actually published it here. Is it under art? Let's see. Yeah, okay. Art is like something I can't execute on, just a picture. Okay. So we do have a golden cross for the crypto total market cap. But crypto total market cap, like I said, if it's just Bitcoin dominance, then it's going to be that for a while. This happened right around here. So on that pullback, see if there's a stochastic. No, it wasn't. This looks like for the total DeFi market, which is the AI coins and so on and so on, centralized finance. It looks like there might be a golden cross manifesting, which is nice. It's in alignment with this pullback. Yeah, basically for the DeFi market, we have that same pattern that Ethereum has. Is a false breakout pattern, and we have a Shamu. See how these patterns it doesn't matter what I'm looking at. You can see this, right? So I would be much more comfortable going along with because of the Shamu. So if I was filling out a daily call sheet, right, bigger picture pattern, false breakout, sideways up, right, bullish, whatever you want to call it, up. Shamu, CCI, sideways up, bullish. Um, right, we're at support, bullish. So dog leash up, bullish. Lots of different things for the DeFi. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I want this golfing in candle to hold, right? This could potentially be like a V pattern, right? Sort of like boom, 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 boom. But tensions in the world, timing, summer. I cannot not stop thinking about how accurate that Bitcoin time cycle chart has been. So if remember, I was basically it called for this. That was published in the channel live. That was a reload spot, and that is awesome. This is also was a reload spot. And it suggests that we will, won't break. I hate to say it, we won't break out. I'd like to at least expand the range a little bit. That would be nice. But I want this to fail. I would like this to be some giant candle. But remember, the longer this goes, the greater the trend that can come out of it. And this also Ethereum also having that, but they just don't look as clean as Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is just crushing. Sweet, even uglier with that smashback. Let's bring in an indicator here. Actually, you know what? I have this one the way I want it. Yeah, I mean, there's structure built here. So we could just put that back a bit. Okay. Huge high volume node, action, reaction, multiple leg counts down. So even the leg count for SUI, right? Had a balance here. We broke down one, two, three, four, five, 5 to 6, depending on how you read this. And then we get the exhaustion at the end where the biggest candle comes towards the end with a little buying tail. That was pretty in front of a major zone. That was a pretty good tell there. So because of this bullish engulfing pattern, there's a chance that we could form a hook here and maybe get a cup and handle, but we'll see. ES just continues to smash. And so tomorrow's Thursday. There might be, I have to check the economy day, but I believe there might be market moving news. And this could, if this holds, this is going to be an amazing bigger picture pattern here. It's going to be breaking multi-month balance here, lead pattern here, very strong. Is there any coins or anybody markets or anything you guys want to need to take a look at or question about the Bitcoin trade today? In fact, I'm going to take another 25 off right now. Excuse me for a sec, gentlemen. And then, okay, there we go. Now take a quarter off from the channel. Not a great trade, but I mean, the market didn't give us a lot today. 106, 506, 107. Technically correct. If you could really hold from, just basically the lows to the highs, that's the first exit. But, if you were conservative and took half off here because you might thought it would chop down, that's what I did. And I just took off a quarter. Maybe we'll get a little overshoot here. That'd be nice. But, we still have some major swings here. These are areas where short traders are going to be active on first test. And, I'll publish those too as well, just because they're exits for people. So even me saying it, I feel dirty saying it. I'm just going to be honest with myself because I wanted to moon like everybody else, but process is process and you got bills to pay as well. Does anybody have any trading questions or anything, or want to let me know how the trading career is going?
Oh, I can ask a question here. Any chance you can dig into SEI and what's going on with
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah, yep. I'm invested in that. Yeah, I mean it had relative strength to the rest of the market. I mean, this isn't terrible, this pattern, because we did break out and we got engulfed back, but I mean, uh, there's a chance that we can get a pullback continuation pattern. But yeah, this is not the type of pullback we want. Right? I mean, it kind of did break back into balance. So what it basically has done is it's just basically formed a bigger balance. So you know, uh, that's from a technical perspective, right? But fundamentally, I mean, it's got a lot of backers to it. I mean, it's going to be using that Wyoming stablecoin. Some big companies like Circle K is invested in it. Not as much as SUI apparently, but I guess on their initial public offering, that was SUI wasn't mentioned. So it's like, well, I'm invested quite a bit in SUI and SEI. Um, but let's take a look at SEI's weekly here. So yeah, I mean, people are taking profits. You had a lot of trap traders here, probably that were just like waiting to sell, maybe holding. Are you what's your time frame? Are you position trading it? Or are you just buying and holding for like a dollar cost average for like into next year?
Oh, no particular. This is something that I was starting to invest in, like, at 19 and 22 cents. And so I've
Okay.
already taken some profits on it.
Oh.
It just seems weird that it's finally
Mhm.
getting some traction when the rest of the market doesn't seem to have the same.
It is, right? And it's just like sometimes with crypto, I mean, this is a new asset class. The investors are shaky. Either, the name of the game is the volatility. It's it's wild what it could do. I mean, imagine this thing getting to a dollar. I mean, it hasn't really taken off, and I guess it already did in March. So, I mean, that's kind of where we are. It's like these are from a dollar cost average perspective. If you still, you know, believe in the time cycles and how eventually the Bitcoin profits will trickle into alts. I don't think in the same way because a lot of these OGs will do it because they'll get pumped by the institutions. But are these ETFs and institutions and the wealth managers going to be like, well, now I'm gonna? Some of the ones that I do like are, you know, that are getting these ETF launches. At least Dot has an ETF launch. Tau in some small capacities on somebody's AI trust, along with Theta. So it's like I don't know how big those avenues will be, but it's like that's a start to some legitimacy because we're taking crazy bets in this AI market because we were super early. Where maybe one of these coins could be like the next. I mean, which one of these coins at what cost? Could be. This is what people are talking about. When's Ethereum going to flip Bitcoin? I mean, it sounds ridiculous now. I mean, this is at 107. This is at 2000 something. But just if they can get even halfway to what they did last bull run, I would be happy. Let's see, Theta is at, I mean, it's at under a dollar. Last bull run, if you were buying at 90 cents to like $2, $3, oh, it's a great price. It got to $16. I mean, I just want to, if it gets to 6 to 8, that would be great. I mean, a lot of these could just get back to half. That would be awesome because they were close to that last time. This was at 31 cents. I mean, that would be a 31x right now after that delisting. Not that I recommend anyone invest in a coin that just got delisted. I would steer clear of it as fast as you can for sure. So yeah, I mean, eh, getting some traction. Um, is, the idea of why I've invested a lot of my portfolio into the AI and the real world asset narrative is the idea that it is one of the only opportunities that I would have in my lifetime ever that my ancestral bloodline was able to front run big institutional banks. If the bet works out, I just I have to imagine all scenarios. If I get too zeroed in on one thing and I tie my soul contract to one event, then it'll zap my energy. You know, I mean, there's just some weird coins, right? Just if you want to go on my weird side, this coin has the symbol that was featured in The Simpsons. It has apparently the medalist universe behind it or whatever. And it's one of those Elon trades long shot coins, and I don't necessarily recommend it. Like I said, the ones that I would recommend for this cycle would be SUI, Say, Tau. You know, obviously if you picked up Ripple, you did very well. Render, don't sleep on Render AI. Now, privacy, as much as I would like the energy of the privacy, and I did invest a decent amount last fall into Pirate and Monero, I would not be investing in those right now because if if there's gonna be any semblance of a similar cycle, it was Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then alts, then micro cap alts, and then everyone wants to hide their money in privacy coins, and those privacy coins went insane though. Let's take a look at that. I talked to a guy who had 1 million in Pirate. Uh, and didn't sell any of it because he like believed in this is going to replace money. I mean, this is going to replace money. There was that pirate market where people were doing peer-to-peer transactions and selling things in pirate. But this thing got to, and I was one of those guys too. I mean, I bought many times my money doubled. Let's see, this was at, let's just see what a bull run looked like, right? This was May 19, just to feel it, May, July, dead. It's dead. People hate it. People hated it. It's done. Wow. I mean, it's a long ass time, right? Couple 3 years. And then just, I mean, this was 3 years. And then the real Action Jackson was April, November. Like not even a 1 year. I mean, the Action Jackson is incredible. Got to $16, 10, 9, 10. And now, will history repeat? What kind of a balance are we in now? Is it long? Well, it's a much longer balance. And let's just say that fine, the institutional capital guys go even longer out. Institutional capital guys won't be going into a lot of these coins, but the OGs that got the bags pumped maybe will start another alt season again. They did last time, and it's like, how much do we need retail to go into that? I don't know. They all thought it was a scam last time. Like Trump treated it as a scam. BlackRock treated it as a scam. I did speak to someone that did. This was actually last bull run that said that we are front. Actually, it was after the bull run, right? It was like in 2022. He said we have front run the banks, and the banks even want Monero so they can hide all their scams. So it's a possibility that, even though last bull run, you saw Trump tweeting that Bitcoin was even a scam and crypto was a casino. And now he's inviting SUI network out there, and he's saying that it's big. I'm glad his tweets are not just, this is going to be, he always says Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. He doesn't capitalize cryptocurrency. That's fine, but he does mention it. If he didn't mention it, I would be a little bit more. It sucks that there's like one guy out there who's the figurehead for this, who's completely manipulating the damn thing. But he's such a crook anyway. He's got to go. He's already into it anyway. So, yeah, I do like that he's mentioning it both. But yeah, so if I was going to make a bet, I bet that we don't reverse here because we probably will at least be tempted to test these highs. But I would be very shocked if we get a substantial breakout there. I think it's going to fail, and then it would just potentially take us into the fall. I want to be wrong on that, but that's just what my gut says based on just the facts of the chart. Because I have no idea how to look at the future, but at least that's showing us something. So yeah, I mean, a lot of potential still in the market because of what happened last time. But just remember, and I'm reminding myself too, that there's an oversaturation on this. There's just too many projects. And this is, look at this one, KDA. A lot of people I know made a fortune on this one. And then some people didn't make anything. And you might say, well, what did it get to? Well, it got to an absurd price. And this chart doesn't even show it. It got to $28. Okay. So people put in bought it at $1 and then wrote it to 28 and like now it's below $1. It's like, well, why didn't you, when your $5,000 got a 28x, that you're not happy with $140,000? Or it's pure greed. And also that euphoria that happened. So yeah, if you ever get a 28x, you have to press the sell button. That's just, but do I think this is going to make it 20? I don't think it is. Just so many. You have to look at what the community's doing. Is it going to get hype again? Are the old investors dead? They are small enough where they could make a run. That they are at these prices, but I just think there's going to be this time. I feel like this bull runs might weed out a lot of weak projects, as this one that I've invested quite a bit in is just got delisted from Binance. Something I just got weeded out, but we'll see. If you traded this on this one actually made me a lot of money. Anyone who followed me when I told people to get in here and I told people to get out here, we captured all that. And you know, this just is a mic because this was such a small coin. I warned you about this one. So micro cap, it's like a beta play to Tau, and Tau is like a small cap compared to Bitcoin. So it's like, you know, I play on really risky coins, but you can see how these principles do work. I mean, if this is a microcosm of what a lot of alts will do, when you get a huge X, you just have to press it. Also, when you get a lot of strength at the potentially a 6 to 5 leg counts up, and you see the biggest candles in your 5 to 6 leg count, that's another form you can add to extra strength on your leg count, which is a times 2 magnification. It just increases the chance of exhaustion. So yeah, that basically paid the bills for a long time. Bam, 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 bam. And I put a lot more on it this time from profits too. Uh, Tau, I didn't take profits because I'm more of a longer term view for that. You know, I don't want to, you know, speculate now, but I can't help just because this is a buy and hold one for me. Um, the Tia Bell lady, I'm quoting her, whatever, the psychic, because she said this thing can get to a ridiculous number. She's not the only like other guru, whatever, that talks about that. This coin can get to a ridiculous level. The insider info that I got, basically, this thing could potentially, they're like, oh, I think it could even take over Bitcoin. It's like, man, that's irrational, but you know, that's the hype that this one has in some regards. But remember, everything I just said about how I felt about that is like nothing I really can categorize in terms of what we do as traders or investors. But it is something that I have to honor. And that's why we had that category in the daily call called How Do I Feel About Being Long? How do I feel about being short? So just to go up here, if I was going to say this, if I was going to be shorting right now, how do I feel about being short? I feel like technically short is the right thing to do, but I feel like since we might get an overshoot, it makes me nervous. I also personally have a bias against shorting, just I know, and also when I have to publish, there's not a trade that I don't take that I don't publish on the channel, and then sometimes I feel like if I want to short, and I feel guilty, you know what I mean, in front of people that are holding bags. That's how I feel about being short. How do I feel about being long? If I was going to go long right now, I would only want to do it if I saw that like that buying tail at my support zone just for a quick tradable half off so I can get out risk quickly. Because I think it's stupid for me to be trading long under a giant resistance zone. They can get smashed down really badly. Like that's dumb. It's like, oh, I can't wait to go long. I can't wait to go long. No. So how do I feel about being long? Not good either. Like I don't feel really good about being long, and I don't really feel good about being short. So then you could write for that category uncertain, uncertain, boom, 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 boom. And if you have enough uncertain, then you just do what I did today. I said I'm not trading, but then I saw that thing and I was like, okay, well, I'll go 1/8 size, and that's what I did. So yeah, that's the outlook. I wanted us to have a better day today, but you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? I did say that this was potentially a bullish day for Ethereum. That's just that bigger picture pattern. That works. Unfortunately, SUI didn't have it. I was premature on that one. If it went up here and then pulled back into this moving average, it would have mirrored Bitcoin. It would have mirrored Ethereum, but it kind of boom, boom, and decoupled from Bitcoin, unfortunately. But then again, Bitcoin is decoupled from everything really. So well, I mean, that's the market. I think I covered pretty much everything right now. I think today's close will be really important. So I'll be making a quick comment tonight for a daily call. And then tomorrow's what, Friday? So usually Fridays, whatever, but there might be an opportunity. We'll see. It's not like I say, oh, Friday is the give back Friday or Fridays doesn't have as great odds. And maybe I don't trade. I think that's just one factor is, oh, it's the end of the week. But we have to assess everything in real time. So that's what I'll do. So, all right, guys. Thanks for coming out. There'll be better days ahead. And remember, the real psychological trick in this game is knowing that it's supposed to be hard and handling that well. If you handle that well, you won't have to game. Take care.